Hey folks, welcome to episode 14. Now, just before this, I did try to record again and I made a right pig's ear of it. So I was going to leave it in, but it was getting worse and snowballing. It was just like, okay, yeah, I can't do this. I can't do this. So we started again. So yeah, episode 14. It is the day before Thanksgiving. Yeah, hopefully the volume is okay in this time round, because the last time I did the vlog, I noticed that when I was doing the new thing with showing the games while I was talking about them and that, of the games that we'd done this week or that week, the volume was too high and you could hardly hear me. So I've dropped the volume of the game down this time, and we'll see if that will work much better. Hopefully the microphone volume looks okay, but you know, I'll check it out on the replaying the vlog. Man, I don't know what's up with me today. I can't talk. I can't think. It's like, ooh, dear oh dear. So day before Thanksgiving, a lot of things are getting busy around everywhere. The house, Cat's like baking like crazy. I know she was doing that in the last vlog, and it's all winding up. So people are coming to pick up their orders and stuff like that. We don't deliver them or anything. It's just local stuff, and so she's winding down with that, which is really cool. We got to settle down. Tomorrow I will be streaming, but I'll be streaming early, which is going to be a bit different than the usual, and spending Thanksgiving Day with her. We'll go watch some movies, and eat lots of good food, lots of mashed potato. I'm looking forward to mashed potato and the stuffing. She does a real mean stuffing. And what else we got there? We got some of those sweet potatoes there as well. There's gonna be all sorts. There's gonna be veggies. As we're like vegetarian, I'm vegetarian and Cat's vegan, so we don't have turkey or anything like that. I haven't had turkey in years, but yeah, looking forward to making that. You know, I don't know if any of you guys had seen Close Encounters with the Third Kind, and it's like making that plateau where the aliens, you know, will meet and communicate and stuff, and he made it out of mashed potato. I'm looking forward to doing that. But anyway, so folks, yeah, we've been playing a few games. It's not been as intense as it has been over the last few weeks, purely because we've had this new challenge that has been given to us in this period of the contest, and we have to spell out with the first letter of each trophy, and we got to spell it out in order as well. So we got to earn the trophies in order. Now we can get trophies in between because they do pop in between type thing, but we have to spell out play has no limit or limits, and I believe that's like the new slogan for the PS5, where I think PS4 was greatness awaits. This one is play has no limits. So it's been a bit slow with platinums and stuff. We did make some progress though, but not the usual. Right, let's run through the profile, shall we? Here we go. All right, so the 18th was last Wednesday. Oh, and we'll probably be moving the vlog to a Saturday or Sunday morning. So we might be back to streaming on Wednesdays. You never know. So even though it was the 18th, we did not show Red Death, and we did not show Prehistoric Dude, and we did not show Zero Strain. but we did get those after the vlog. As you can see, it's 19th, so it's just after. So we did Red Death, so that's 1. Prehistoric Dude, that's 2. Zero Strain, that's 3. Lord of the Click, sorry, that's 4. Claire, extended cut, that's 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Word Wheel on the Vita, 6. Legend of Skyfish, we finally got that, 7. So 7 platinums. 7 platinums is okay. I'm not going to be able to show Word Wheel because it was on the Vita. But we will show the other 6. And the profile at the moment, we're standing at 273 platinums there, which is cool. We're still in the green, which is nice, but we got, well, 18's fairly respectable, I think. But there have been days, yesterday I believe we fell down 1 point, but we were still in the green for some reason. So we're at 4,430 in the world. Nice. We're up 105 since last Wednesday. And since last Wednesday in the country, we are up 18. So that's pretty cool. We have reached the 40% completion rate, which is freaking awesome. And we've added a few games to the backlog. As you can see, we now have 954 games, which is crazy. 318 of them are completed. And that's pretty much that for the profile. And here we stand at 6th place at the moment. There is only 27 teams left in period 8 of the contest, the Great True Trophy Score Challenge 2020. And it's like, oh my god. Okay, so we haven't refreshed yet, so let's see if we've fallen down. It would look like we're still in 6th place. We're holding 6th place. Cool. We did have a little battle last week with where are they? Lamer Score. Lamer Score kept knocking us off 5th place and taking it. We actually did get knocked down to 7th place last week, but we finished in 5th as usual. We want to stay in 5th. We want to keep that momentum. So we got a couple of hundred, maybe 400 points to get to knock King of Bronze off. King of Bronze are not to be messed with. But as you can see, there's quite a lot of big players here. Take Candle hasn't been in the top area for a little while. Platt Street Boys has always been sitting behind us. King of Bronze has been making moves. But Trophy by the Slice, again, is hitting with the number 1. SMC, I'm looking out for them because they're going to creep up. They always do. Lava here, don't melt yourself. Lava here, don't melt yourself. They're usually in the top 3 as well. So that'll be interesting. Catastrophe has rescued themselves, as you can see, which is awesome. Well done, Catastrophe. Who's in the elimination? Girls just want to have one, unfortunately. Looks like they could get eliminated. Arctic Fox in a box. This is our friend, Zapharis. I've seen him come out of this a couple of times, so I'm not too worried about Zapharis at the moment. But girls just want to have one. I think they're struggling. I do. I think they're struggling, unfortunately. Is that... yeah, it's Kimmy. Yeah. Kimmy's got game. Hopefully, they'll be able to do something. French Superior have been in trouble recently over the last couple of weeks. So, would I be surprised if I saw them leap? Yes, I would. I would, because the damage that they caused themselves a good few weeks back, they're recovering from it. And I think they've learned their lesson, because they're just sitting barely above the elimination line there. But yeah, that is kind of the state of play on the True Trophy Score Challenge. But let's go to Leapfrog and see if Aikuzami's there. Oh, look, we're down to the last 5. Night Wasp, Sheaf or Chef, Aikuzami, sometimes Hazel, and Honey Bizzle. They're at 72 trophies now, and they're at the last 5. I'm still rooting on Aikuzami's going to do this. Aikuzami is going to make the deadline before the 8 hours are up. Who's not going to make it? I know we got Night Wasp and we've got Chef with 0 trophies at the moment. So this doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. But 8 hours to go and there's still 0. It could be that they've done it, but they haven't synced yet. Possibly. Even Honey Bizzle hasn't made it all the way to 72 yet. So, could this be the last one? And Honey Bizzle win it because they got the most? We shall see. We shall see. I will keep you guys tuned in on that, so that right. So we're gonna follow it. We're gonna follow it. So the games that we've been playing. Now we're going to go back to the profile again. Sorry about this. And we'll close that. We don't need that anymore. So the first one is Red Death. I lost it. There it is. Red Death. 19 trophies. 8 gold, 10 silver, 0 bronze. Does have a platinum. It took me 1 day, 9 minutes. Is that because of my skill or because of a learning curve? I'm going to say it's a learning curve. It's not a bad game. East Asia Soft, I believe. And we'll just run you through it. Yes, East Asia Soft. My gosh. Can't talk. All right. We'll take the camera off. There we go. Man, I am so disorganized today. We get this sorted. This is Sin, uncut, as you know. All right, there we go. All right, so Red Death. It's a top-down, arcadey, slight kind of shooter. Hopefully the volume's not too bad. I don't see any volume. Should be some volume. Oh, there is. Okay. So, X button is to shoot. You can slow down everything with holding R2, which does help an awful lot. You just collect these little stars and things that are falling down, and they upgrade your power, which is on your right hand side. That is a ship. That's an extra life. And this is basically it, but there's another ship. And it gets really hectic. It does. It really gets hectic. So we're moving on. Oh, you gotta keep my shooting button down. Okay, don't want to crash into the walls. And then slow it down again. See what I mean by hectic? And we got hit. See, the P is power. So we got double shot now. You can't shoot the bullets either. See, it does. It really gets hectic. Now that's what we want, is laser. And then you want to get as much power as you possibly can. Because the next thing will be a boss fight very shortly. That's not a boss fight. You just weave in between the bullets. He's done. Get a second laser. Now we're cooking on gas. But we get a hit, we lose it. Try not to lose it. Got a ship. Got the overload. We need the overload for the boss. So here comes the boss. And press circle button to overload. Here we go. We're going to overload. He starts shooting. Things disappear. Things disappear. He's done. And we still retain the double lasers. I'm just going to sweep. Now this one you get like this tentacle thing drop down. And you'll be like, whoa, what was that? And you shouldn't get hit. If you get hit, you lose the lasers, as you can see. And you don't want these guys hitting you either. So because we lost the lasers, you kind of you kind of failed already. But not a bad little game. I've played a few better East Asia Soft games, but yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So next on the agenda is Prehistoric Dude. What a cool game. I liked this game. Now where is it? Did I delete it? I think I deleted it. Oh, I thought I was ready. I thought I was so ready. Gosh darn it. Or maybe I've got too many on my profile. Prehistoric Dude, yeah, we gotta download it again. It's a platformer, but it's a platformer with a difference. It's almost like a free roam, free roam platformer. We'll let that download. It won't take long. I'm so sorry, guys. There we go. Start. All right. So, as you progress through the game, it's done by Ratalacker again. As you progress through the game, you unlock certain items or abilities, and you can get to other places that you couldn't get to beforehand. So this was a boss fight. So let's see if we can exit, play, new game. Or just flash through how special he is. Oh, shouted the dinosaur. Dude was so scared with that shout. God, dude. Alright, basic controls. Move, run, inventory, and throw, melee push, all that good stuff. So, X is jump. And you got to go through these little bushes here that you can see on the floor. They will yield items like food. So there's trophies for collecting food. They also yield axes, you see. And there's another axe. And some food. You don't want to jump down there, those spikes. That's kind of obvious. Go over here, collect some food. More food. That's the end of the level. So we don't have the ability to double jump. We don't have the ability to grapple onto the side, which is a couple of those skills that I was telling you about that you unlock later on throughout the game. So here we go. We got snails. Oh, he didn't die. There we go. And up the beanstalk. See if we can find any more goodies. And we've got some bees. There are a couple of bosses in this game, but not too difficult at all. Okay, so the only way we can go is down. So we go down. We can't get the axes because we don't have the grapple. Ah! And you do have limited amount of axes. So pick up the food. There's our gloves. So these now give us the ability to cling on the edge, you see? Hang on a minute. Like that. So now we can jump to places like this. And just get killed by a snail, by the looks of things. But it's a great little platformer. I enjoyed it. Like I say, the thing I liked about it the most was it's an open world platformer. You know, you don't finish a level and then move on. The whole thing is like explorative. See, now we can go up here to the place we couldn't go to in the first place. It's a little bit of a rainforest. Snail. Let's go. Snake. New enemy. Okay, so we're out of axes. So again, we can go down, but we're going to go up. Explore a little bit. Jump on the platform there. Go up. You can't drown, which is cool. You do get an ability later on, though, on having to go underwater. So we just opened a door, and you open doors by collecting the food. The food's located in the top there. It's 26. If you die in a level or something like that, you do lose food. You don't lose the axes. You don't lose the key, though. I'm just going to try and jump up there. There we go. As you see, it's not too difficult game. Like I say, I enjoyed it an awful lot. I would love. Obviously, we need 100 food for that, so we're not going to be able to open that door. Get some axes, and you can grind for the food. We just died. Well, that's Prehistoric Dude, folks, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Next on the agenda was Zero Strain. Oh, now this was a tricky one for me. It did have a lot of things going on with it, with how to play it. It's another arcadey type thing. How to explain it? Probably old school Tron tanks. Or if you're talking about a more recent game, Inksplosion, probably. So what you have to do is you get... I wonder if we can start a new game. That's the ships. Back. Okay, so you start off, you're a pilot, you fly these ships. This person in the station's looking for somebody to power up the station. The way you power up the station is by defeating enemies, bosses. Certain levels have these nodes around. One node for building a new ship, and the other one is for powering the station. You start off at 0 power. You can see we're at 13 power, so we finished the game because you need like 12 power for the last power trophy. You pick your destination on where you're going to go, and as you can see, there's ranks at the bottom there, and then there's these little icons. Those icons are different ships. That's basically what it's representing. And if you haven't done the area with that specific ship, you can see the last one on the right hand side there has a dash. That means we haven't touched that one with that particular ship. But the other 3 we have. Now you do have to kind of grind out almost all the levels with each ship. Well, the first 3 ships that you unlock. As you can see, we have not been to the Lost Relic with any of the ships. Lathrus Night, we only hit with 1 ship, and that was where the main boss is. Well, we'll take you with a... So select Catalyst. This is where you select your ships. One of them's a tank kind of thing, which is this one here. It's pretty robust. It does do quite a bit of damage. It's slow. This is your starter that you get. You don't have to build this one. It's a pretty good all-round ship, so we're gonna go with that one. And she's gonna say, "Oh, are you sure? Ooh, ready to launch? Let's go." It looks nice. It looks nice. When you start getting into the gameplay, it can be a little bit confusing on what's gonna hit you. Okay, so it's a twin stick, kinda. You can control it with both, either or. Left stick is better for me. And shooting is the square button. But you can see if you shoot and continue to shoot, the power buttons are dropping down there. Eventually, you're going to overheat. Okay? So you got to watch the overheating. You hold down R2. You're doing like boost. You're doing... Get back in there. Shields down. And that basically will boost you around. If you hold L2, you're charging your secret weapon or your special weapon. As you can see, there's a square, X, and a circle at the bottom of the screen with some funny icons. And square currently has 2 built up in it. That means I can use the square special power 2 times. And that's basically missiles. And so we're going to go into the dimension. And I'm just going to shoot up these guys here. And anything they drop, you just pick up. It powers up your ship. You can run out of bounds and you can damage your shields. You don't want to be doing too much out of bounds work. Which, that's kind of the trick about the game. As you can see, it can get a little bit manic, and then you get these targets come up. Those are the guys you got to eliminate. Forget about the rest of the stuff, unless you want extra points and stuff. You want to take out the target. There we go. And it takes you into the next dimension, or next plate. Let's call it a plate, shall we? Alright, so let's charge a weapon. There we go. Charge weapon. And we got this triangle available. Boom. And so the special weapons you're going to need to use quite a lot. There's trophies for using special weapons for X amount of times, destroying X amount of enemies, defeating each boss, and powering up the station as well. Get glued onto everything. For some reason, it's focused on that particular thing only. All right. It's not a bad game. Like I say, at first it did confuse the hell out of me on what I'm doing, which you really don't need games that do that so much. I did give it a little bit of a try, and I guess it had the same thing as Explosion to me. You know, it was like, oh man, I'm getting my butt whooped here. These are turrets. Eventually I was like, okay, well, we got to play it. It's next. So, and we've been looking forward to playing it until I saw a preview of it, and I was like, oh man, this is a bit manic. And I'm glad we played it. Shields are critical. Look, we're dying. Keep going out of bounds. So if you go off the map type thing, you're going to end up dying, just like I did. Catalyst destroyed. Now then, there's the harsh fact about it is if you die, you have to start all the way. It does not save where you were last time or anything. You have to redo the whole thing. So can you imagine what it's like when you're doing a stage right at the very end of this level and you die? It's a bit of a learning curve, like I said. But at the moment, it's in the sale still. No, actually, that's not in the sale anymore, is it? No, it's that was the indie sale. Forget that. Not a bad game, like I said. Next one is Lord of the Click. Lord of the Click was a no-brainer. You know, we kind of like the no-brainers for a bit. If you play it legitimately, it's quite good. It is quite good. If you enter the code, I believe it's up, down, down, right, left, up, down, and triangle, I think it is. Then you unlock infinite money. Then it breaks the game, basically. So you get little bosses. This one's the vampire. You select the little boxes at the bottom, and that's pretty much it. You get to build up your money, which builds up the strength of your castles, your food, your armies, and there are perks like a little guy that runs across. You see the little guy with a sack? He's running across collecting all the gold, so he's automatically collecting the gold. There's a trophy for button mashing. I believe it's 777 times. But if you start purchasing the upgrades like the mill, like the mine, as you can see there, and you can see like R1, L1, R2 next to it. Before you purchase them, you had to manually activate them. And that took out the button mashing. But, however, I can divulge that you can still button mash and it does still count. So you can just like tap away on L1, R1 to your heart's content, and it will count towards the trophy. The idea, like I say, is to bring the boss to his knees, and the way of telling your progress is that kind of wavy line in the screen. it's heading towards the vampire's tower, as you can see, and you've got to take that line all the way off the edge of the screen. Now the line starts right in the middle of the screen at the beginning, so you just keep selecting the ball, the it looks like arrow tip, but it's like your armies, sending your armies out, and eventually you'll take him down. Like I say, a no-brainer. If you enter the code, it's a no-brainer. If you don't enter the code and you play it legitimately, there is somewhat strategy to it, and I enjoyed that. Like I enjoyed the game like that. Played a few games like this before. Trophies for beating the bosses. Trophies for building armies. I think it's 1,000 armies, and upgrading all of your bits and pieces like the tower, the mill, the mine, calling armies, all that good stuff. I think there's like six bosses. No, there's probably less than that. Exit main menu. 1, 2. These are the bosses. There's 4 bosses. So it's not a very difficult game. Definitely worth picking up. Lord of the Click. And our next one is Claire. Now Claire has given a friend of mine a hard time with this game. It's like a horror type game. If you've played things like Last Station, what are the other ones? What's the name? Something Valley. I can't remember what it is now. And it's a story about Claire. I don't want to give away too much. You can probably get this game done. I did it in 2 playthroughs because I did it on Nightmare, and I missed a couple of butterflies because of a glitch. Now the game is pretty glitchy, but there is ways around it. Replaying the story takes you a couple of hours at the best, and you just mash away through the story if you like the visual novels or whatever. And you control little girl here, and basically there's a trophy for tapping the door 3 times. 1, 2, 3. You get knocked back. Trophy pops, but we won't pop here. And yeah, it's kind of a 2D adventure. Now things go a little bit strange because it's kind of a horror game. So these are stairs right here, and you can interact with things that have X on it. There are save points in the game. As you can see, there's little like flakes or leaves. Looks like butterflies, black butterflies going up in the air. Where is it? Map items. And you can see we're healthy at the moment and we're calm. The butterfly on the right hand side, that's your collectible. So is the battery. They're collectibles. There's 80 collectibles to get. 80. And you can miss it. You can miss it. So we just go into a little bit of story there. I need my mummy and daddy. There are places to hide in as well. It's very well done. It's very well done. There's a collectible. So there's notes. There's batteries. There's all sorts. Recovery items actually count towards your items collected as well, but as you can see, you don't have much inventory space. You have only 12 slots. You do have to kind of juggle it a little bit, like the old school Resident Evil games way back when. You know, remember you had to kind of run to a box, drop an item so you could go to another box and pick up the item from there or whatever. So you can use the crank on the handle, you know, that kind of thing. It's very similar. But it's all, most of it's recovery items. There are a couple of items that you need to use that will progress you through the story. But for the most part, it's recovery items. It's a very bizarre game. And now she's in a hospital. I don't want to go show you the story too much, because at the end you'll be like, oh yeah. So here's your save point. Here's the save point. It's a lantern room. So you go into there and you click on the lantern and save game. You only get a certain amount of save slots, so be aware of that, folks. You just have to plan what games you're going to overwrite, because you could make a mistake and you'll be like, oh no, I need to go and reload, and then you find out that you've just saved over it or whatever. Hold for quick burst. Now you've got limited amount of energy to run, and there's no bar telling you how much energy you got. You just got to listen to her. There's another collectible there. You found a Maxell battery. So batteries are obviously for your torch. If your calm turns to horrified, your health will go down. If you're playing on nightmare mode. If you're playing on story mode, it's not that the horrifying is not going to deteriorate your health. You can tell by the way you're getting horrified or you're going to be killed or consumed is when the background where you saw the black butterflies at the beginning, that's your fear. As that starts to get really close in, you're going to die. So you need to hit something with reducing fear, and then you can carry on. Use the save games as much as you possibly can. As characters, NPCs that you will come across in the game. Trophies. There are quite a few trophies to it. You've got reached the end of the apartment level, so that's part of a level. Let's go down to the bottom here. Reach the end of school. Reach the other side. Find tons of items. That's the one for 80 collectibles. Survive. Finish the game. Reach the end of the hospital. So various different stages. Find all the notes. Find some notes. Find all the notes. There's a couple of collectibles in there. Butterflies are collectibles, missable. Become a delinquent. There are a few little hidden things in there, but all in all, I actually enjoyed this game. I thought it was quite good, and while I was playing it, I did find it a little bit freaky in what the story was doing to us until the very end, and then I was like, oh. Alright, so the next game would have been Word Wheel, but like I say, that was on the Vita. So the next one is Legend of Skyfish. Now this was a work of art. I love this game. Ratalacker, and it's probably my favourite Ratalacker game at this moment in time. Okay, so we're at the end of the islands here. Press options. Fair enough. We gotta scroll through all of the all of the islands. Or is it gonna take us to the big one? Nope. There's several stages. Each one carries a boss. Here's the first level. So you get on the map. You can see there's like various things like the totems, the There's on this one, there's like a shooter. You see, it looks like that. It's in the top right hand side on that island there. That's a little shooter. Then you got some spikes on this island, so you can tell what's waiting for you on the island. And there is a chest on some of the islands. Now, when you collect the chests, which are a collectible piece of the game, you get to unlock the armored suit, the fish head, and the speedy cap. You start off with the red hood, and they all give you different perks. Also, the same thing with the rod. So you start off with the small pole. You can collect the fish slasher, the freezing rod, and the stunning baton. Again, like I say, these are all in the chests. So all in all, you've got 9 chests? 3, 6, 9. Yeah, 9 chests to find to get all the equipment. And that's part of, that is a trophy to find all the chests. There's trophy for finding your first chest and everything like that. But let's go into it. And the game is, it's beautiful. It looks like, it doesn't look like a Ratalaika game, put it that way. So you cast your rod onto these gold platforms, look like they have hoops in the middle, and you basically move around from island to island. Your square button is melee. You can hook bad guys as well, and it stuns them, and then you just kill them. This one, you had to kill that person to open the gate. So there's various different puzzles, and that would be one of them, kill everybody in the gate. So there's a couple of pressure plates that open that platform there. So we scoot across, if I can get it. And some of those collectibles will give you longer reach. So there's a block over there. You can actually pull that and then put it on the pressure plate. Just such a beautiful game. And the idea is on each island to break these, the totems. And that's it. That's all there is to it. There's a lot of levels to it, and you have to do every single level to get the platinum. That's the only thing, really. But really, it's a very enjoyable game. It's a very enjoyable game, and I just like the way it looks. It's not cutesy or anything, but it's polished, you know. It's not like your 8-bit graphics that you see on a lot of Ratalaika games, and that rounds up our showcase of games in a way. So there is something I want to show, and this is a game called Path of Motus. Now, when I first got this game, I was like, yeah, okay. I got a Bad Driver video up, and he was blasting through it, and I was going to go blast through it. And for the most part, I played it all blind. So I haven't quite finished it yet, which is why it's not featured in this particular one. But I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you, pardon me, something that's hidden. Now, this is done by Michael Hicks, and I actually messaged him today on Twitter, commenting on the game, what I thought of it, and commending him of, this absolute brilliant game. So, travel. I wonder if this is going to work. Motus' house. I think it's Motus' house where it is. If it's going to work, we're going to sit through this. It might not work if it's a first time thing. Now let's see if we go back in here. Does it start? Yes, it does. Okay, so we're going to watch this. Why is there no desktop audio?
PlayStation
Oh,
4,
there you go.
Steam, and Xbox. Pillar and the Path of Motus were both
I'm
made
sorry,
by a team
Michael.
of two, my friend Gonzalo Antunes and myself. And around the time Pillar came out, I started getting some people here and there reaching out to me.
This is a
asking for information
fantastic
on how they can
video
get into games
that
as
Michael
well.
put out that's
Pillar did
embedded
pretty
in the
well
game,
for
and
a
there is a
small little
trophy
indie
for
game.
it.
We got some
So we
nice
just
press
go listen
coverage
to
in
him.
places like Game
Takes
Informer
about 20
magazine,
minutes.
And I think we're at over 320,000 players so far. And even though I'm very proud of that game, and I'm hoping the Path of Motus can surpass that, I feel like a lot of times when we're looking at other people's story, or we're looking at a page of someone else's book, so to speak, all we see are these highlights, and we never seem to focus on all of the failures and failed projects that have led up to a certain point. And I found that the key information that I want to share with people about how they can get into games as well basically comes through by sharing my own story and all of the bumps I hit along the road to get to this point. So I'm going to take you guys back to when I was in grade school, first learning to make games, and we'll go all the way up until the present day today. But before we jump into that, I want to give you a quick intro about me. I'm 24 years old, and I've been making art for around 19 years. I'm a self-taught programmer, designer, musician, sound effect designer. I even do the marketing and promotion. I generally only work with an artist. And in this 24 years of life that I've had, I've made 9 video games, 15 albums, several short films, and a few other things as well. I stumbled into pursuing games as a career when I was 18, so this wasn't my intention to do this as a full professional career. I just was interested in doing this as a hobby, and then I kind of stumbled into doing it full time, I guess you could say. And usually when I tell people that my first published video game came out when I was 18 for Xbox 360, usually they're like, oh wow, that's crazy, you're really young to be doing that. But like I mentioned earlier, a lot of times we're not seeing the full story of things. I had an advantage, and my advantage was my dad. He was into computers from the very beginning, and he was in a band, so he had a lot of recording equipment lying around the house, and guitars and things like that. So when I was 5 years old, I was around all this equipment, and I would kind of experiment and play around with it. And being around these things and experimenting, recording little tapes of me playing music at, 5 years old, even though I didn't know what I was doing, all this stuff has transferred over to what I do today. So I benefited greatly from that, and I'm thankful to have that advantage. But I still think that anyone can do what I've done, especially in this technology era that we live in. I think all you need to make games today is a computer, an internet connection, and a lot of motivation. And that last point is probably the most important one. But let's go ahead and go back to the early grade school years when I was first learning to program games. In early grade school, I was doing various creative things. I had this little camera, and I would run around my backyard filming my cats, making super cat movies, I'd call them. And I was also making some music, and I wanted to put all this stuff up on a website. So I started using GeoCities. This was a popular web editor back in the 90s to make small little websites for my work. In GeoCities, there were some pre-made games that you could drag and drop onto your website. One of them was Tic-Tac-Toe, and if you double-clicked on the game, you could see some of the code underneath, and you could mess around with it and see how it was working. And this was my first experience with code, okay? I was just getting my feet wet, nothing too crazy. And then in 4th through 6th grade, I started finding things online, like little tutorials and samples of code, and I would rearrange these things to make my own game, quote unquote. It wasn't really my game, I was just using other people's stuff, but it was another step forward. After this, XNA was announced, and XNA is a toolkit that lets anyone make a video game for Xbox 360. And at the time, this was unheard of. It was amazing. Like, wow, anyone can make an Xbox 360 game now? I have to do that. Like, I was so amped up. So this was my big dream. I was going to make a game for Xbox 360. I bought a book on how to program in XNA, and in 7th grade, I tried to make an XNA game, but I failed. Right? I couldn't figure it out. The book I had bought was way over my head. It assumed I had a background in computer science, which I didn't. And I started to wonder that, maybe I'm not smart enough to make video games. I don't understand any of this stuff. Maybe I'm not meant to do this. But luckily, I took a step back. I said, okay, let's find a book out here that's more geared towards my level. And after doing some Google searches, I found a book called Game Programming for Teens. And I learned a ton from this book. This book was definitely geared more towards my level. And after going through that book and doing some samples in it, I used what I learned in 8th grade to make my very first game, Cube Wars. And this was just a basic 2D space shooter, nothing too crazy. You're probably looking at the picture thinking, wow, that's nothing. That looks like you made it in 5 minutes. But you're wrong. It actually took me a long time, and it was really hard for me to make this game. This was a huge barrier right here. And once I finally finished it, I was very proud of myself for doing it. And even though this was my first experience with game development, I already started to take some things away from it. I found that the process of working on a game was very magical, or even spiritual. I kind of felt like a god, designing these worlds and programming these characters that would behave a certain way. That was really cool, and it made me want to work on another game. And I also discovered that I love being confused by things and then trying to understand them. I love that moment when you've been confused by something, but maybe a few weeks later or a few months later, that light bulb finally turns on. That's such a great, gratifying moment. And a lot of times when I talk to people that are working on their first game or trying to learn programming, they'll run into something that they don't quite understand and they give up. And that's the thing. You will run into things that you don't understand, but you can't give up. You have to keep going and work through it, and eventually you will understand. And also, maybe the most important lesson I started to learn was no one really pat me on the back for making this game. There wasn't a huge, over-enthusiastic response. And even when I showed this game in front of a class I had in high school, many people thought I was lying when I said I made this game. They didn't believe me. And that's an important lesson because I feel like when you're doing this type of work, you should be making games because you want to make them. Because you're in love with the creative process, or you want to see this idea come to life. As soon as you start expecting things like praise or money, I think you'll become disappointed. Because everyone that's been successful, they have these types of setbacks, you know what I mean? And they have to be motivated by something other than these external things to get through all of it. Otherwise, if you're just wanting praise and you get none, you'll probably stop making games, you know what I mean? So after working on this game, I had a dream. And my dream was I wanted to make a 3D space shooter similar to Star Wars Rogue Squadron, a game I grew up playing, and release it on Xbox 360 using XNA. There were some problems though. To make a 3D game requires an understanding of some pretty complex math. And the grade school teacher that I went to for help wasn't really able to help me. On top of that, I didn't know how to program in C#. The Game Programming for Teens book uses a language called Blitz Plus, and Blitz Plus doesn't work on Xbox 360. And finally, I knew that the programming knowledge I had was way too attached to the book. I needed to challenge myself on my own and make some more projects to get more experience making games. So that was basically my solution to all these problems. I kept making games in Blitz Plus on my own to become a better programmer. So notice I didn't go straight for that dream game. And a lot of times I see new people come in, they want to make their first game, and they'll say something like, yeah, let's make a 3D MMORPG, or something hugely ambitious. And you can't really do that. You have to start small and work your way up to these bigger games. So I made 2 games around this time. The first one was called Spiky, which was a basic game where you go around the screen dodging spikes that are falling down. And the second game was pretty cool. It was a 2D RPG called Knight's Realm. It had maybe 11 or 12 quests, nothing too crazy. But that was a big challenge for me, and I felt like it pushed myself as a programmer. I spent a lot of late nights working on it, and I was really excited when it was finally done. And for Knight's Realm, I enlisted some help from freelance artists on GameDev.net. I basically said, hey, I'm trying to make a game to get experience. Would you want to make art for this game to get experience? They said, yeah. And after all of this, I felt ready to work on my first XNA project. And my first XNA project was called Cube Wars 2. It was a 2D space shooter, a sequel to Cube Wars 1, obviously. But unfortunately, I lost this project. I have nothing from it, not even a picture, because my computer crashed. So that's an important thing to take away. Always back up your work. So for the rest of 2008 to early 2010, I played in a band. So basically my passion was in music at this time, and I didn't work on any more games. But after the band broke up, I felt motivated to come back and work on my dream 3D space shooter game. And I learned the math by studying examples online. Basically, I'd find samples of, it would be like a 3D ship flying around in an open space. I would take that, I would go through the code, and line by line, I would remove one line and see, okay, what does this do? Then fire up the program. I'd see, okay, when I remove this line, I can't accelerate anymore. So I know what that means. And then I would go back and try another line. And I would just keep repeating that until I understood what the entire thing was doing. It was really tedious, but it worked. And eventually, after 6 months, I finished my dream game in 2010. But unfortunately, to release it on Xbox 360, you have to be 18 legally. And I was only 17 at the time, so I had to wait a little bit. But on my 18th birthday, I released Honor and Vengeance for Xbox 360. And I didn't really expect anything when I put this up. I just thought it would be cool to make an Xbox game and say it was on the marketplace, you know what I mean? But to my surprise, around 6,000 people downloaded the game and played it. And I sent out some press releases, not expecting anything, but again, to my surprise, people started reaching out, wanting to interview me. I was on a few podcasts. The newspaper in my town here wrote a story about me, and that was really awkward. I mean, I had no experience doing public speaking. I was really nervous, and I stuttered a lot. But just like the other skills I'm talking about in this video, public speaking is a skill, and at first you're not too good at it, but eventually you do it enough, and you get better and improve. And as for the game, it was rough. I'm not particularly proud of the game looking back, but some people liked it, and that was cool to see people's reaction to it. And at this point, I started to realize that maybe this could be a real career for me. I mean, I just threw this up and I had this type of results. So what would happen if I put all of my effort into making video games? So I quit my summer job. I was working at a grocery mart at the time to work on a sequel to Honor and Vengeance. And this wasn't a very popular decision at home. Imagine telling your parents that you're quitting your job to work on video games in your bedroom. My dad basically told me that it was a waste of time and I wouldn't go anywhere with it, but I had seen results and I just really believed in what I was doing. So I kept on going, and in around 6 or 7 months I released Honor and Vengeance 2 for Xbox 360. And this game was better received than the original. We had a lot more press attention. There was a website called GameTrailers.com that was pretty big back in the day, and they featured our trailer on the front page. Kotaku had an end-of-the-year roundup post, and they mentioned Honor and Vengeance 2. But most importantly, I feel like I really solidified my programming chops working on this game. I felt very comfortable programming in 2D, in 3D. I felt comfortable debugging my code, figuring out what was wrong with it. But at this point, I started to question things from the design side. Because, you know, at the time, I actually kind of thought that programming a game and designing a game are the same thing. And that's not true. They're totally different fields and almost require a totally different skill set. So around this time, I left for college, and don't feel like you have to go to college to do this type of stuff. I just went because I wanted the degree as a backup, but it just depends what you want out of it, you know. And during college, I started questioning a lot of things about my work and about game design in general. And the first thing I started to ask was, what can I make besides space shooters? Because if you look at my games, a lot of them have been space shooters, and I want to challenge myself and branch out a bit. And then I started to ask, what can I do that big studios can't do? Because if you look at the Honor and Vengeance games, my selling point, or why I thought they were unique, was that they were kind of rivaling AAA studios with these 3D graphics. In my mind, I was making a budget AAA game for people. And the reality is that I can't really compete with the big studios when it comes to graphics and technology, right? They have such manpower and knowledge at these studios that it really isn't realistic. So what can I do that makes me stand out? What makes me unique as a game designer? And then I started to ask, why are most games about killing people? So many games in this industry are somehow based around violence, and it made me kind of wonder, is this all that games are good at? Can games maybe do more meaningful things? So I got frustrated with video games around this time, and I think part of it was because I was surrounding myself with music and film that was changing my perspective on things in life. So I started playing experimental games. There was some stuff by Jason Rohrer, who made a game called Passage, and another game called Gravitation. Both of them I found very inspiring. He was thinking about these things that I was thinking about. And eventually I emerged from this period of questioning with a new approach to game design. And my approach was basically that all games teach something subconsciously through their design. All games communicate things while you're interacting with the mechanics. And not just educational games, even a game like Mario, if you think about it, when you first fire up Mario, you see that Goomba, and you probably run into him and die, and then you say in your mind, oh, okay, I can't hit the Goomba, that's not good, he kills me. So then maybe eventually you try some other things, and you jump on the Goomba, and that kills him. And then you say, oh, okay, if I hit the Goomba, that's bad, but if I jump on him, that's good. So in a way, the story starts to build up in your mind. Ideas are being communicated through the interactions. And to me, I felt like I could communicate a story or at least interesting or meaningful ideas through these interactions. And I found that a lot of times in narrative games, the narrative isn't working too well because what the gameplay mechanics are communicating are often in conflict with what the story is trying to say. So think about if we're playing a first-person shooter and something sad has just happened in the story. You're talking to a computer character and he's giving you a voiceover about how sad he is, and there's some sad music playing. But meanwhile, as a player, we have the controller in our hands and we can start jumping up and down and firing our gun up in the air, and it just turns into comedy, you know what I mean? Like, we're over there jumping up and down, the guy's still like crying and the sad music's playing and stuff. And it just feels really clumsy, you know? And I feel like a lot of game designers don't really think about things in these terms. So I decided that I would make a game that approached the design in this way. I wanted to convey a story through the gameplay mechanics. And in 3 or 4 months, I made a game called SinnTrophyHunter. And in SinnTrophyHunter, you play as this little goblin guy, and he's from a village that's been trapped inside of a forest for hundreds of years. No one's found a way out, but he thinks he'll be the first one to do it by building these bridges through the forest. But in between building, he runs into bullies that stop him with their own words. So there's a verbal combat system where they're firing words at you and you have to fire words back. And I picked these mechanics for a specific reason. There was a message I was trying to convey through them, and even in the specific level design, each area is about a specific idea that I'm trying to communicate through the interactions. And this game was part of a promotion called the Indie Games Uprising 3. And basically this was a promotion where indie developers joined forces to promote their games together. I helped coordinate it, and we did pretty well. We had coverage from almost every major video game website, and I learned a lot about marketing and promotion at this time. I feel like a lot of indie developers think that if you just put your game up on the marketplace, people will come and see it, but that's not true. As an indie developer, we wear many hats, and one of the hats we have to learn about is marketing and promotion. So I worked with Microsoft on this event as well, and we eventually had a big promotion on the front page of Xbox Live. Here's a picture of it here. Notice that's SinnTrophyHunter on the main banner. Around 30,000 people downloaded SinnTrophyHunter and played it, but unfortunately it was largely rejected by most people. Not a lot of people liked the game. But what I found was that most of the feedback was toxic and not very constructive. So a lot of the times when I would read feedback from gamers or reviews, they would be making fun of me or saying, you know, this game sucks, this guy will never make a good game, he's really pretentious, this controls like crap, this game sucks, you know, that type of stuff. And that doesn't really do much for me, you know what I mean? And it was so much attention on me, I kind of had a mental breakdown. I turned off the computer, I had to go in my closet, I closed the door, and I just kind of sat there and zoned out, because that was my mind's way of dealing with what was going on. There were a lot of eyes on me, and this was a big failure. And, personally, I felt the game was flawed. It obviously wasn't, the greatest thing. I'd only worked on it for 3 or 4 months. But I also felt like it did some things right. I saw a small group of people post their thoughts about the game, and a few people would post really detailed feedback about what they took away from the game. It would be very specific things that, honestly, I wasn't sure people would pick up on, but these people did. And it was like, wow, I'm onto something here. I know I'm onto something. I see a few people get it. Most people don't like it at all, but I think there's something here. So at this point, I basically stepped away from the game development scene for a little bit. I got off Twitter and everything, and I kept reading the reviews over and over, trying to make sense of what went wrong with this game. But I was kind of confused, I wondered if maybe I wasn't being honest with myself. Maybe I was fooling myself. Maybe I don't have what it takes to be a good game designer. But eventually, after a few months of analyzing all this stuff, I decided that my mistake was in the surface level presentation. I made a lot of novice mistakes, it didn't feel good to run around as the character, it felt really clunky. There were a lot of jumps that were hard to make, and it was really frustrating. But I was inspired by what went right, and I decided I would learn from what went wrong, and I would keep working on games and trying to explore this idea I had about game design farther. And I'm not sure how many people would continue making games at this point. I'll never forget when I was in the closet, I just felt like I had blown away everything I'd worked so hard to build up. I thought that even if I did make a good game again, no one would want to play it because I just ruined my reputation or something. You know what I mean? It was hard for me to deal with. But I kept going, and at this time I started working on a game called Pillar. And Pillar is a collection of mini games where each game represents a different personality type we find in people. So if you're an introverted character, the gameplay mechanics for the introverts are kind of stealthy. You only have so much energy, and if you're around other characters for too long, your energy starts to drain. And all these personality kinks come through by interacting and playing as the character. There's no story, no dialogue, no narrative. All these ideas come through the gameplay. And I started working on this in August 2012. After I graduated college, I moved back home and worked on it full time. I originally was trying to release the game for Xbox One, but due to some technical code issues, the game wouldn't run there. As always, there's problems with every project you embark on, but luckily I ran into a friend at GDC who recommended I talk to Sony because my code base would work on PS4. I emailed Sony and I gave them a copy of the game. They were a big fan, and they signed me on as an official PlayStation developer. And basically at this point, it was just pure grinding. I worked 12-hour days for 7 days a week. I barely left the house for like 6 or 7 months. I basically learned that you can't do that. You have to manage your work hours a little better, or else you burn yourself out. But I was really passionate about it, and I felt like I had something to prove after the whole thing with SinnTrophyHunter. And eventually, in February 2015, Pillar was released. It had a very hate it or love it response, but the love it people really dug it. There was some really great feedback on it, and around 320,000 people have downloaded the game and played it. We had some great press. Game Informer magazine had an article talking about examples of innovation in the video game industry, and they picked out 4 games that they thought were good examples, and Pillar was one of them. And probably most importantly, I found my voice as a game designer. I'm still very proud of many aspects in this game, but similar to SinnTrophyHunter, I was so obsessed with the ideas behind the gameplay. What will the player think if this happens? What will the player think if that happens? I was so much in that world that I neglected the surface level presentation. There was so much intense puzzle solving in the game, it would have been nice to have more of a flow to it. Maybe you solve a few puzzles and do something else for a little bit. But as always, you take away these things and learn from them for the next project. So after Pillar came out, I started prototyping 3 different projects. One of them was a ground-up remake of SinnTrophyHunter called the Path of Motus, and it basically took Pillar's design approach and pushes it even farther. We felt called to work on this game full-time, mainly because, for me, it felt appropriate to work with these themes again after my experience with releasing Pillar. I feel like I have a proper ending for the game. And even though it's been in development for 2 years, super long time, I'm very proud of this game. I feel like I finally realized the vision I originally had for it back in 2012. We're planning on releasing it as of recording this video in 2018, and I can't wait to see people's reaction to it. And that's basically the story up until today. In terms of key takeaways for why I've got this far, or why I've survived this long, I guess you could say. First, I've never expected anything in return for making my games. I just love making them. Similar to what I talked about earlier, if I would have came into this with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to make $1 million, or oh, I'm going to get a 100 on Metacritic, or something like that, I think I would have stopped making games a long time ago. And don't take my word for this. Go and look at the stories of people who have had financial success in indie games. 9 times out of 10, if not all times, they're more into the creative process, and the money and all that is a byproduct. Next, I learned how to interpret criticism in a way that didn't sacrifice my vision. So if I would have listened to all those people when SinnTrophy came out that said, oh, this game sucks, this guy will never make a good game, if I would have listened to that, Pillar wouldn't have happened, the Path of Motus wouldn't happen. But that's not to rule out those people either. There's a reason why so many people had the response that they did to that game. But just understand that you're not always going to get specific feedback about what exactly they didn't like about it. You will have to take in all the information and kind of discern for yourself what feedback should be listened to, what feedback should be ignored, and how to appropriately address the feedback in a way that's right for your vision. Hopefully that makes sense. And it's a hard skill to learn, but I also think it's very important for indies to learn this skill. And finally, most importantly, I found my own voice as a game designer. Nothing is like Pillar, and nothing is like the Path of Motus. And that's why so many people wanted to play Pillar, and that's why so many people wrote about Pillar and so on. It's because it was unique, and it stood out in the crowd. So I want to say one last thing, and that is that you can do this as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not special. I think anyone can do the things that I've done, especially in this technology era that we live in. All the info that you need is online. And I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel, actually, and I will be sharing everything that I've learned throughout the years to make these games. I'll be talking about programming, design, marketing, business, you name it, even if you've never programmed before. I have an Intro to Programming video series to get you on board. So listen, if you're even remotely interested in game development, you should subscribe to my channel. You can get there by going to pathofmotus.com, and yeah, you know, you can follow your dreams. All you need is a passion, and if you follow that passion, you'll be successful. And there will be people that say you can't do it, that you're wasting your time. There will be times where you feel like you can't do it. But if you have that passion and you love what you do, that will see you through all of that stuff and get you to where you need to be. And I know that a lot of people think it's naive to say, if you just follow your passion, you'll be successful. But there's a lot of different definitions of success. And success to me is just finishing a game, getting it out to the world, and having people play it. And in that sense, yes, I believe anyone can be successful. So good luck, don't give up, and I hope to see you all soon.
Now, I thought, when I saw that this morning, because, you know, I needed to hunt a few trophies for the slogan that we're hunting on the contest. And I came across this very much close to when I was leaving for work. And it's about a 30-minute video. And I started watching it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. A young lad, and he's telling us how it all started and stuff like that, where he came from in the industry. And I was blown away by this video, and I thought I needed to share it with you guys. I really did, because if you haven't played this game, or you have played this game and you haven't seen this video all the way through, because you could easily walk in and walk out while it's playing, see, and you would not be able to see the rest of the video. Okay, we'll just turn the game volume down a bit. Actually, you know, we're done with the games. It was fantastic. The video was fantastic. I sat and watched every single second of it, all the way up to that end where it comes up with .com, and I was like, oh my god, because I finished my first playthrough of it, so I know kind of what Motus has gone through, and I don't really want to spoil the whole thing, but I knew the game. When you start the game, you get a feel that it's got moral motives to it, right? like Thundercats used to, or He-Man used to, you know, back in the day. And it wasn't corny or anything like that. It was just like mind-blowingly cool. I was like, oh wow, you know, I took this away with me to go to work, and I was like, this is so cool. I always struggle for ideas, content, or something like that to talk about in the vlog until the day or the day before or something, and I couldn't wait to finish my work, come home, start the vlog, and share this video with you guys, because I hope that you get what I got out of it, because and now when I play the game, I fully understand the game. I know that sounds weird, but you really have to try that one out, folks. It was in the sale. I don't think it's in the sale now, but it does hit sales every now and then. Even if it's not in the sales, let's support Michael Hicks with purchasing it full price, because if I'd have seen that video beforehand, I probably would have done that. I would have, you know, supported the guy. To think that he started Path of Motus, or redid Path of Motus, because originally it was a flop, with, you know, and you saw the early concepts of it, but when you see the finished product, it's such a polished looking game. It really is. And to know that it was just one guy who did all that, and he self-taught himself coding and everything, and marketing and all that other stuff, advertising, everything, all of it. He did that all himself, and it's like, congratulations, Michael. I did, like I say, I did message him. I did, you know, I told him that I liked the game. I loved the game, and I especially loved the video that he put in there. It's not hidden as such, because that's part of a trophy. There's actually 2 trophies in that area. 1 for exploring the house. 2, well, basically the first one's called Fourth Walls, or knocking down the 4th wall. And then the other one is, you know, the video, and it's really cool. It is really cool, and I would love to see other developers doing this, small developers, so we can get to know them, not like the massive ones. Although, however, there was another game that I was playing that did have that kind of thing going on in it. I'm trying to think what it was. I played it before, but I didn't notice the videos. And then I picked up the videos, and there's 2 guys being interviewed. I'm going to have to go back to my games. Hang on a second. Wasn't Legend of Skyfish. Was it Claire? No, it wasn't Claire. It was 3D-ish. No, unfortunately, it's not on my list. So I obviously didn't pop a trophy. Let me see. It was a game that I've been working on, and there was quite a huge distance between the next trophy, but it was cool. It was a cool video. There's various different videos in the game to collect to get more of the developer side of things and everything like that. And I like that. And with what Michael Hicks did was just amazing. It really was. And for him to open up and tell us all about how he started and where he is now and stuff, I'm really looking forward to a reply from him. Michael, if you do watch this, if you do get to watch this vlog, I am going to tag or link his Twitter. I'm going to link his YouTube if I can find it. And any other links that I can find that tie up to Michael Hicks, I'm going to put those in the description for you guys. And I did message Michael and tell him that I'm putting it in my YouTube video. So hopefully he will see this. And I want to just say thank you so much, Michael. That was an awesome video. And also the game is lovely. You know, it is so good looking. It's well polished. It's very tidy. Couple of the jumps were a bit tricky, but you said that in the first one, your concept version of it begins with S, and I can't remember what it is now, so that shame on me. But the look of it is just so good, and to know that it's just one person that did all that and makes a game look like that is a darn fucking good achievement. Excuse my French. I love it, and I'm going to have to say it's going to be my video, my game of the next vlog. We'll see. There might be some other hidden gems that come along the way, but I highly doubt it's going to beat Path of Motus. And Path of Motus was a game that I wasn't looking forward to playing at time because I watched a video on the little puzzles. The puzzles are really confusing at first. Once you get an idea of what they're all about, you can't. They're not so bad, you know. Drawing the lines and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. And so I was a little bit apprehensive of playing it, but I needed some trophies. I'm sorry it came to that I needed some trophies, Michael, but once I started to get into the game, it hooked me. So it wasn't so much about the trophies so much anymore. It's what the next part of what's going on with Motus is life. You know, because you go through adolescence, you go through childhood, you go through adult. You know, it's such a cool concept of what you've used in this game. It's just so cool. I'm a big fan of it. I am a big fan of it. And if it was one of those games that needed a Kickstarter, and I saw what I saw then, and I was able to Kickstart it, I would have given you 100% backup Kickstart on that. That's how much I love this game. It's an indie game. I'm getting a reputation of being an indie gamer. I don't know if I like that so much, but you know, it is what it is. I can't wait to see what other games are going to come my way next week. And like I say, we'll probably be recording a vlog, episode 15, probably on Saturday, which is not too far away. It's Thursday today. No, Friday. It's Wednesday today. Sorry. So we've got about 3 days. And then I want to try and sync how the progress with the profiles going from Sunday to Sunday, Saturday to Saturday. and see if that works. Because Sunday, we are looking at. I approached my brother, Goffy DJ, and I approached my uncle, which is DJ Reanimator. They're both PlayStation 4 players, and when I was talking about doing a podcast on the last vlog, my brother got in touch with me and said, I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk to you a little bit more. So we all got together on the PlayStation 4 in the party chat, started chatting about things, talking about it, and they're both on board with this. And I was like, oh, well, this is going to be cool. This is probably going to be funny as fuck, but it's going to be cool. And so we're looking to record in our first one. It's going to be on YouTube, unfortunately. It's going to be an audio video file type thing, because I don't have the know-how how to get it just audio file and have it on iTunes or Spotify just yet. But this is what the vlog's all about, isn't it? It's all about progressing. It's all about taking that next step forward, learning new things. I just noticed that my green screen's hanging like shit. So sorry about that. But I'm looking forward to it. We were going to be discussing about a single game that is featured in PS Now or PS Plus. Mostly PS Plus, because all of us have PS Plus, but me and my brother have PS Now. So we could do either or. Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. But like I say, unfortunately, it's only going to be featured on YouTube at the time. Which is okay, because you can play it on your phone, your tablet, your computer, and just have it as background. You won't have to look at the blank screen, because it's going to be a blank screen unless I think of something. Or you guys got any ideas for the screen? That'd be cool. Or any ideas on what to use to get it to iTunes. And through past experience, I wasn't the one who with the know-how, but past experience, when we did the variety shift with Gavin and Isaac was the brains. He knew how to put it into wherever it is. Now we used Audacity. I don't know if that's going to work with the PS4 voice recording. If it is, then we got it. Or we're going to have to go through Discord. I think Discord is going to be the way, because then we can have guests in our Discord talking to us about whatever they've been up to. Maybe if we get a chance, I wouldn't know what to say to him at the time right now, but if I got a chance to talk to Michael Hicks, the guy who did Path of Motus that we just seen, that would be pretty cool. That'd be a feather in the hat, wouldn't it? And you know, I've read a few articles about him, and he's been in several podcasts now, several different interviews and stuff like that. He's getting quite well known. Honestly, don't know if he's still programming. I know that he's done another game other than Path of Motus, which was after Path of Motus. I have yet to look forward to bumping into that. I did tell him I just bumped into this game because it was in the sale, and me being me, following my spreadsheet, Path of Motus was next, so I was like, okay, let's give it a go. And then I was a bit scared by a video that I watched on the gameplay with the puzzles and that. I was like, oh. But pardon me, I enjoyed this game. I'm on my second playthrough to get the platinum. I would like to see a sequel. I think a sequel would be cool, or something similar. Or I would love to see some more stuff from Michael Hicks. I really would. I think that's about it, folks. I would love to tell you a little bit more about the podcast, but as of yet, it's new. So very excited, though. Very excited. All right, folks. Until next time, this is SinnTrophyHunter. Peace.